if you want to finally stop betraying yourself, then this is the only video that you need to watch, because I'll guide you through step by step through exactly how you can stop betraying yourself. Hey guys, welcome back to the Sweet and Savage Show and another episode of the Art of Practicing Self-Love series. Like I mentioned in one of my videos, if you're doing this one thing, you are not loving yourself, which is you betraying yourself. And I mentioned that self-hate is a huge form of self-betrayal, which is true. Which of course means your next most important step should be starting your self-love journey. And if you don't know how to do that, I'll link a video down in the description box down below where I went step by step on how you can start your self-love journey. So check that video out. And this is the most important step that you need to take in order to stop betraying yourself in all of the ways that I'm going to be talking about in this video. Because on your self-love journey, you will learn everything that fits into the category of how to stop betraying yourself. As in, how to stop hating yourself, how to heal people-pleasing and codependency. Learning how to build a healthy, loving relationship with yourself is going to help you to stop hating yourself, stop treating yourself like garbage, stop beating yourself up and judging yourself really harshly whenever you make a mistake. It's going to help you to stop talking to yourself negatively and harshly, and as well as it's going to help you to stop lying to yourself constantly, invalidating your emotions, and also saying mean things to yourself whenever you look at yourself in front of the mirror about your face or your body. You're basically bullying yourself when you hate yourself. Starting your self-love journey is going to help you to stop hating yourself and stop being your own worst enemy. Now, if you're asking me, Lamisha, why is self-hate a huge form of self-betrayal? I'm glad you asked that question, because the answer to your question, you will find it in the video that I've linked in the description box down below. And in that video, I explained and went deeper into why self-hate is a huge form of self-betrayal. So check that video out, because I will not be answering your question in depth about it in this video. So yeah. But just to explain it to you a little bit, you are betraying and hurting the most important person in your life, because you are turning your back on the most important person in your life and bullying the most important person in your life. And you are abandoning yourself, you are neglecting yourself, you are treating yourself like garbage, as if you are nothing, you don't mean anything, and that is self-betrayal. You are going to learn the importance of your relationship with yourself and how to treat yourself with the love and respect that you deserve, learning that you are the most important person in your life, and the most important relationship in your life is the one that you have with yourself. So you will learn the importance of that, which will help you to stop betraying yourself and treating yourself like garbage and hating yourself. The journey will help you to face yourself, to connect with yourself, to be there for yourself, to not be a stranger to yourself, to not be your own worst enemy, instead learning how to be your own best friend. To learn how to prioritize yourself and meet your emotional needs instead of avoiding yourself. And of course, most importantly, to learn how to accept, embrace, and love who you truly are, your authentic self. This is the foundation that you are building, where you are going to learn everything that is part of you building a healthy, loving relationship with yourself that will help you to stop betraying yourself. Apart from you ending your toxic relationship with yourself, here are some of the aspects that you will dive into on your self-love journey that will help you to stop betraying yourself. Starting off with the first one, which I have already talked about, which is you learning how to accept, embrace, and love yourself. When you love yourself, you stop abandoning yourself. For me, abandoning yourself is you betraying yourself, and here's why. Abandoning yourself by seeking external validation constantly through external factors like followers or likes. You only feel good about yourself when you receive praise from other people, when you are in a relationship or in a friendship. As in, for example, your self-worth comes from you being in connections with other people. You cannot be happily single. You need a relationship to feed your sense of self-worth. You need a relationship to meet your emotional wants and needs because you cannot give that to yourself. By the way, just so you know, it is normal human to want to be loved, to want to be accepted, to want to be in relationships, and to want to have friendships. Like, that's totally normal. However, not from the place that you are seeking your sense of self-worth by being in relationships. Avoiding yourself and distracting yourself from facing yourself and certain aspects of yourself that need your attention, love, and validation. You're constantly thinking about other people. You are putting them in the first place and not you, because you are turning your back on yourself, abandoning yourself like a parent would emotionally abandon their child. You are doing the same thing to yourself. And that's self-abandonment, self-neglect, and self-betrayal. On your self-love journey, you're going to learn how to stop abandoning yourself, neglecting yourself, to show up for yourself, to put yourself in the first place, and to feel deserving of that, most importantly, and as well as to learn how to meet your own emotional wants and needs, and to give yourself that love and validation that you so desperately seek externally from other people or through external factors like achievement, to give yourself that love and validation that your inner child is asking of you. And just in general, the love and validation and attention that you need to be giving to yourself, because it is your responsibility to give that to yourself. And the state of your relationship with yourself is your responsibility and not anyone else's. Even if you aren't lying to yourself to please someone else or other people, having a toxic relationship with yourself, one that is based on denial and dishonesty and constantly lying to yourself, is a form of self-betrayal. Being on your self-love journey will teach you to be honest with yourself and to validate your emotions, because that's an act of self-validation, self-respect, and self-love. For example, you need to be honest with yourself about the ways you've been treating yourself like garbage and about everything you need to face and take responsibility for. Which is the reason why make a promise to yourself that I will be honest with myself at all times. And when you end your toxic relationship with yourself, you stop constantly lying to yourself and you stop invalidating your emotions. However, if you intentionally keep lying to yourself after you have started your self-love journey, then you are breaking the foundation of trust that you have created for yourself. And you are letting yourself down, and you are not honoring, respecting yourself by lying to yourself. You are deliberately betraying your trust. However, something important that I want you to keep in mind, which is that we can unintentionally lie to ourselves, only to realize later down the line that we weren't truly being honest with ourselves. And this happened to me in the past as well, so don't worry. Or honestly, just a couple of weeks ago, this happened to me. And I realized, oh, I wasn't actually being fully honest with myself. So now that I know better, I can do better, and I learned from my experience. If that happens to you, then be honest with yourself about that and admit it. Take your time and forgive yourself, learn from the mistake, get back up, keep going, do better next time. In order for you to be honest with yourself, you need to stop invalidating your emotions. Because if you keep invalidating your emotions, you cannot be truly honest with yourself, because your emotions are like your secret messengers. And if you listen to them, it will help you to stop being a people pleaser, being a codependent, and to stop betraying yourself. Let's say someone is treating you badly. Now you not allowing yourself to feel that anger is perpetuating that cycle of you accepting that mistreatment from that person. If you now were to allow yourself to express your anger, to admit that to yourself, you can now be honest with yourself about that and say, you know what, I'm allowing this to happen because I don't know how to stand up for myself, or I don't know what to do with it. So now you can stop betraying yourself by pleasing this person, by disrespecting yourself, abandoning yourself, neglecting yourself, by staying in this toxic friendship. When you validate your emotions, you are acknowledging your own truth and admitting that to yourself, and you are showing yourself the love and respect that you deserve. Which leads me to talk about the next point, which is when you start to love yourself, you start to respect yourself. And what happens when you start to respect yourself? First and foremost, it's going to help you to treat yourself with the love and respect that you deserve. And second of all, it's going to help you to stop tolerating and accepting mistreatment and letting people walk all over you, being a doormat, and as well as to cut toxic people out of your life. And not going back to people who are not good for you or a specific person like your ex. And as well as, of course, it's going to help you to set boundaries, stand up for yourself, be assertive. Let's say, for example, you go back to your ex or a former friend of yours, someone you know is not good for you. You know that clearly, and you are going back to them. And if you do that, you are disrespecting, abandoning, and betraying yourself. And as well as neglecting yourself. Because you love yourself and you honor your promise to yourself that I will not be going back to my ex, someone who's not good for me. Because when you love and care about yourself and respect yourself and know your worth, then you won't go back to someone that's not good for you. You will choose yourself. Choose to be there for yourself instead of abandoning yourself. Choose to respect yourself instead of disrespecting yourself. You choose yourself instead of betraying yourself and that trust with yourself. Now, speaking of keeping promises to yourself, this isn't just about a specific situation. This is about you keeping your promise to yourself on a daily basis. When it comes to your relationship with yourself and just in general, learning how to build a healthy, loving relationship with yourself will teach you how to keep your promises to yourself and respect your own boundaries that you set for yourself on a daily basis. Because this process helps you to rebuild that trust with yourself, which ultimately helps you to stop betraying yourself. Such as, for example, showing up for yourself, meeting your own emotional wants and needs on a daily basis. Or I will show up for myself on Saturday at 7 o'clock and I will journal and I will have a self-love session with myself every single day or on the weekend, and showing up and prioritizing yourself by keeping your promise to yourself. However, something important that I want you to keep in mind is start small so that you don't end up overwhelming yourself and dropping the ball because you are trying to do so many things all at once, which is the reason why it starts small. And don't underestimate the power of a small habit, because these small wins give you the evidence of your new identity, of someone who shows up for themselves, of someone who is learning to build a healthy, loving relationship with themselves. Because small habits have powerful impact if you do that every single day. Because keeping promises to yourself is a sign of self-trust, self-respect, and most importantly, self-love. You are most importantly building that trust with yourself where you have betrayed your trust many times. Even a small self-love practice such as saying I love you to yourself in front of the mirror every single morning will help you to rebuild that trust with yourself. Something important that I do want you to keep in mind is do not be hard on yourself if you forget to, for example, say I love you to yourself in front of the mirror one day. It happened to me as well. Just say it in the afternoon or when you realize that you forgot about it, which is the reason why I do recommend you to have a habit tracker, whatever self-love habit that you want to implement in your daily life, because it will help you to keep track of all of your self-love habits so that you don't forget them. Now, these are the aspects that you're going to be diving into on your self-love journey that are going to help you to stop betraying yourself. However, this isn't everything, which leads me to the next actionable step that you need to take in order to stop betraying yourself, which is for you to discover your authentic self and for you to start being your most authentic, unapologetic version of yourself, and as well as to live your life in alignment with your values. Just like I mentioned in my previous video, people-pleasing and codependency are a huge form of self-betrayal next to you hating yourself. People pleasers and codependents grew up with no sense of self. They grew up being the person that everyone wanted them to be and having needs and values that they were expected to have. They couldn't have their own needs or express their boundaries or express their truth, which leads you to mold yourself into being the person that everyone wants you to be, to have the beliefs and the values that everyone wants you to have, to be easily swayed by other people's decisions and opinions. You've been living your life being a chameleon. A huge part of healing people-pleasing and codependency is to discover your authentic self and to be and express your authentic self unapologetically and to live in alignment with your values, which is a powerful act of self-love that you are going to learn on your self-love journey, which is going to help you heal people-pleasing and codependency and to stop betraying yourself by molding yourself to be the person that everyone wants you to be and living the life that the people around you expects you to live. Start your self-discovery journey right now, and yes, it may take some time. However, you can start now and already discover quite a lot about your authentic self in a short amount of time through numerology and astrology, and as well as through asking yourself questions such as journal prompts and being really honest with yourself. And by doing that, you are going to discover quite a lot about your authentic self, such as your traits that are part of your authentic self, your own beliefs, your own values, your own way of expressing yourself, the way that you want to see the world, the way that you want to live your life, and so on and so forth. And in order to discover your authentic self, you need to stop betraying yourself. And you cannot do that if you keep lying to yourself or if you keep being the person that everyone wants you to be. On this journey towards discovering your authentic self, you need to be brutally honest with yourself about everything, about the role that you have played in your family up until this point, the way that you feel pressured to think and act in a certain way, to believe certain things, to have certain values. For example, stop betraying yourself by being part of a religion that you don't want to be part of. And as well as stop choosing a career path that you don't want to work towards, that you don't want to choose and be part of. And if you're doing both of these things, then you are betraying yourself in a huge way. No more lying to yourself, no more suppressing how is it that you truly feel, as well as no more invalidating your emotions. Just like I mentioned earlier, the importance of that. While discovering your own values, having your own beliefs, and living your life in alignment with your values is part of you discovering your authentic self and being your authentic self. But you cannot get to that point unless you get in touch with how you truly feel and what you want, your wants and needs, and your boundaries. Reconnecting with how you truly feel, being honest with yourself, and having your own needs and boundaries is part of you being your authentic self. This is also part of healing people-pleasing and codependency, because people pleasers and codependents don't even feel deserving of having their own needs and boundaries. And more on that on another video. People pleasers and codependents have been lying to themselves up until this point. And you need to stop lying to break this cycle and heal from people pleasing and codependency in order for you to discover your authentic self and to stop betraying yourself. By you discovering your authentic self, your own beliefs, your own values, your own way of expressing yourself, and what your soul desires, the way that you want to live your life. This is part of you developing your sense of self, which is extremely important for you to heal people-pleasing and codependency in order for you to stop betraying yourself. Having your own religion or a spiritual path that aligns with you and your values, and as well as your own career path and the way that you want to express yourself. For example, I'm an ex-Muslim and I ditched the purity culture and I started my witchcraft journey. I am also a bisexual. I am also a vegetarian. I am basically everything and I stand for everything that my toxic family and my toxic parents doesn't want me to be part of, the person that they don't want me to be, the values and beliefs that they don't want me to have, all the ways in which they don't want me to express myself. I am all of that. But this is my true self. So take it or effing leave it, because I'm not gonna betray myself. I accept and embrace and love who I am. And I'm not going to suppress my authentic self, my values, or change who I am to please my toxic family. Absolutely not. And neither should you. And know the fact that this is the price that you pay when you start healing from people pleasing and codependency. And this is the harsh truth that you need to accept, that maybe your parents will not accept your true self. That some people are not going to accept, like, and love your true self. And you need to accept that. Because otherwise you're going to keep betraying yourself. Even when it comes to marriage, marrying at a specific time and age, and as well as who you want to marry. Nobody gets to decide when you should marry or who you should marry. You get to decide that for yourself, and you should decide that for yourself. Because it's your life, your decisions. Because if you let your parents pressure you into marrying at a certain time and age that you don't want to marry, then you will be betraying yourself. Clear sign of self-betrayal. And as well as even when it comes to having kids, whether you want to have kids or you don't want to have kids, and when you want to have kids, and to not let anyone pressure you into having kids. Because you are always going to be betraying yourself every single time when you act on the decision that other people are pressuring you into. Because every choice counts and is a reflection of you either betraying yourself, abandoning yourself, disrespecting yourself, not honoring your authentic self and your values, or every choice that you are making is a reflection of you honoring yourself, your authentic self, you respecting yourself, being your most authentic, unapologetic version of yourself, you valuing yourself, honoring your own values, your own needs, and respecting your boundaries, you listening to yourself, you being honest with yourself, and most importantly, you loving yourself. It's either that or this. And you get to choose what you're choosing every single time that you are making a choice. So as we've been talking about, develop your sense of self by discovering your authentic self and being your most authentic and unapologetic version of yourself from now on, reconnecting with yourself and your feelings and your needs and your boundaries, and speaking your truth and having your own beliefs and discovering your own values, as well as to start living your life in alignment with your values unapologetically. And along with that, stop molding yourself to be the person that everyone wants you to be. Just like I mentioned earlier, stop lying to yourself in order to heal people-pleasing and codependency, because you need to face the truth in order to take responsibility, to change your behavior, and to heal from these unhealthy patterns so that you can be your most authentic, unapologetic version of yourself. Now let me go in a little bit deeper and explain to you why being your most authentic and unapologetic version of yourself will help you to stop betraying yourself. The reason for that is because when you've experienced childhood trauma, it led you to suppress aspects of yourself in order to avoid being hurt, being rejected, being abandoned. You grew up feeling and believing, I need to hide my true emotions, my truth, my desires, my boundaries, my need in order to be loved and seen and heard and accepted. And as well as you grew up believing, I need to act this way, get the perfect grades, prove myself and my self-worth to my parents in order to receive their acceptance, love, and validation. You even learned growing up to reject and disown certain aspects of yourself, which are now part of your shadow self, in order to be accepted, loved by your parents. Let me explain to you a little bit about the importance of you integrating your shadow self For example, in your childhood, maybe you weren't allowed to express your anger. You may be made to feel ashamed whenever you expressed your anger. This aspect of yourself is part of your shadow self, which you have learned to reject and disown growing up due to you experiencing childhood trauma such as emotional neglect and abuse. By acknowledging this aspect of yourself and understanding this aspect of yourself and accepting it and integrating it as part of who you are, this is part of you building your sense of self as well. Because when you've experienced complex trauma, you developed what's called fragmented self. You failed to build a cohesive sense of self. And there's a disconnect between how you think you should feel versus how you actually feel. And by integrating aspects of your shadow self, you become not only whole, but that's how you build a cohesive sense of self. This is a very important aspect of yourself that you need to reclaim in order for you to heal people-pleasing and codependency, which will help you to stop betraying yourself. And learning how to love yourself will make you realize that every aspect of myself and part of myself is worthy to be seen, to be heard, to be accepted, to be understood, and to be acknowledged. And I am lovable for just simply being myself. And as well as my self-worth doesn't come from external factors, such as from achieving a goal or anything from externally. It comes from within. My self-worth is inherent, and it was always there within me. It cannot be taken away from me. And I don't need to prove anything to be worthy. I already am worthy. I am already good enough. By giving yourself the permission to express all of the parts of yourself that you are taught to suppress, all of the aspects of yourself that you are taught to feel ashamed of, all of the aspects of yourself that you are taught to hide. Moving on to other important aspects that you need to dive into in order for you to stop betraying yourself. In order to stop betraying yourself, cut toxic people out of your life. Stop accepting mistreatment from other people. Stop being a doormat. Stop letting other people walk all over you. Because this is where everything starts. It starts with you teaching yourself to treat yourself with the love and respect that you deserve, knowing your worth, and respecting yourself, and respecting your own boundaries, and having your own needs, and feeling deserving of those things. And knowing the fact that you deserve to be treated with love and respect because you know your worth, but also because you respect yourself, which will ultimately help you to stop betraying yourself by being in toxic connections, accepting mistreatments and disrespect from other people, and letting other people walk all over you. And this is the power of you starting your self-love journey and building that healthy, loving relationship with yourself. Which leads me to the next point, which is embrace confrontation and learn how to set boundaries and learning how to stand up for yourself and being assertive. Setting boundaries is how you teach other people how to treat you. What is acceptable and what is not acceptable, what you will and won't tolerate from other people. However, the actual how-to is something that you will learn separately on your journey. Like I knew at the beginning of my self-love journey the importance of speaking my truth and not letting anyone disrespect me or walk all over me. Fighting back as someone who was trying to disrespect me is something that I was doing at the beginning of my journey towards healing codependency, but I didn't necessarily know how to set boundaries, what boundaries were, and all of those good stuff. I had to learn it separately. This is just something very important that I want you to keep in mind. Just like I mentioned in my video, how self-love is not self-betrayal, that whenever you say yes, when you want to say no, you are violating your own boundary. You are breaking that promise to yourself. You are not honoring yourself and how you're feeling. And people pleasers and codependents have been betraying that trust up until this point by constantly saying yes when they want to say no, which is the reason why being on your self-love journey is going to teach you how to keep your promises to yourself and as well as to respect your own boundaries by respecting how you truly feel and respecting yourself, and to set boundaries with other people by saying no, and to stop betraying yourself by doing that. Now, this video isn't about how to heal people-pleasing or codependency, whereas if I were to make a video about this, I may go a little bit more in details. Specifically, when it comes to healing codependency, I left out quite a couple of things when it comes to healing codependency. However, if you follow and take action based on everything that I discussed in this video, then you are going to be able to heal people-pleasing as well as codependency, because I've talked about the most important aspects that you need to dive into towards healing from people-pleasing as well as from codependency, which leads me to talk about the next important point, which is that I want you to speak your truth unapologetically, and I want you to stop agreeing with other people's opinions or truths that doesn't resonate with you. This is something that I did in the past, is to agree with everyone else. I didn't have my own beliefs and values, and because I didn't have my own beliefs and values, I also didn't know my truth, which led me to agree with everyone else, even though something didn't resonate with me, even though I didn't agree with something. However, the reason why you may also do this is because due to you not wanting to be disliked, judged, or not wanting to ruffle someone else's feathers by speaking your truth, not rocking the boat by causing a confrontation, because confrontation is the last thing that you want to face, and people pleasers and codependents, as we know, avoid that at all cost. Let go of the need to suppress your own truth and to not speak your truth in order to avoid being disliked, judged by other people, and as well as in order to avoid a confrontation. You need to do this in order for you to stop betraying yourself, in order for you to stop being a people pleaser and codependent. I want you to speak your truth unapologetically from now on, without shame, without guilt. By you speaking your truth, it is an act of self-love. And this is something that you learn on your self-love journey. You are honoring and respecting how you truly feel, and you are respecting your own truth. You are honoring the aspect of yourself that says, hey, that's not okay. I don't agree with that. You are letting this aspect of yourself be heard, which is something that you didn't allow yourself to do up until this point. You rejected this aspect of yourself, suppressed it in order to please other people by betraying yourself. And now you are going to do the complete opposite, because you accept, embrace, and love yourself. And you respect yourself. And you honor yourself and your own truth. And how is it that you truly feel? And when you do that, you stop caring about what people think about you. And when you stop caring about what other people think about you, you stop betraying yourself by molding yourself, changing your own opinion, by agreeing with someone when you disagree with them. Because you prioritize respecting yourself and loving yourself and being your most authentic, unapologetic version of yourself over people's validation. Because you are no longer going to betray yourself. And when you do that, you let go of the fear of being disliked and judged by other people by speaking your truth and being your authentic self. You're abandoning yourself by molding yourself to be someone that you are not in order to be liked and loved by other people, in order to avoid being judged or disliked by other people. Because if you're doing both of these things, you are betraying yourself. So stop trying to mold yourself to be someone in order to be liked and loved by other people. Which leads me to talk about the next point, which is stop neglecting yourself. You should stop abandoning yourself, as well as you should stop neglecting yourself. Stop neglecting yourself by always putting other people in the first place and yourself in the last place. On your self-love journey, you're going to learn how to prioritize yourself and feeling deserving of that. Prioritizing yourself and showing up for yourself on a daily and weekly basis by practicing self-care and self-love, and along with that, to make yourself your number one priority and make that a non-negotiable. For example, my weekly self-love sessions, they are non-negotiable. My morning routine is a non-negotiable. Me saying I love you to myself in front of the mirror every single day is a non-negotiable. Me meditating, practicing self-care and self-love on a daily basis is non-negotiable. Start treating yourself like you are important. You matter. Your needs matter. And start showing up for yourself that way. And I know you've been living your whole life up until this point thinking and feeling like as if you don't deserve to have your own needs, as if you don't deserve to prioritize yourself and show up for yourself. You think this is selfish. No, it's not. It's self-love. And you're going to learn about that on your self-love journey. And this is part of you healing people-pleasing and codependency by learning how to feel deserving of having your own needs and boundaries, by developing your self-worth and learning how to respect yourself, and of course, learning how to love yourself. If you are constantly neglecting yourself by being a people pleaser or a codependent, then you are betraying yourself. There is a difference between self-abandonment and self-neglect. However, both self-neglect and self-abandonment are part of betraying yourself. Neglecting yourself leads you to abandon yourself. Just something that I want you to understand. And abandoning yourself leads you to neglect yourself. Because when you're abandoning yourself, constantly seeking external praise and validation, or through being in connections and avoiding yourself through that, you are neglecting yourself. You are not taking care of yourself. You are not looking after yourself. You are not giving yourself the love and the validation that you need from yourself. Instead, you are avoiding yourself. And when you are neglecting yourself, you are constantly putting other people and their needs ahead of yours in the first place and putting yourself in the last place. Because you are saying no to yourself and yes to other people. You are constantly letting yourself down and ignoring yourself and your own needs, your own desires, and even your own boundaries in order to please other people. And you are betraying yourself by doing that. Whether it's self-abandonment or self-neglect, you're ultimately saying no to yourself and yes to other people. And even if you are in a people pleaser or a codependent and you are neglecting yourself, then you are also betraying yourself. By never taking a break, by exhausting yourself, by not properly taking care of your body. For example, by engaging in hustle culture and workaholism and treating your body like garbage. And the negative mindset and beliefs that you develop from hustle culture, which makes you have a toxic relationship with yourself, which ultimately leads to self-betrayal. To all the moms and dads out there, of course, I know your kids are your number one priority, but don't forget about yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup, which is why practicing self-care is not a luxury, but it's a necessity. For all the codependents out there, you are not responsible for fixing someone else's problems. You are not responsible for their life and their problems. You are responsible for yourself and your own life. And you are responsible for your own health. Because as a codependent in the past, I felt like I was responsible for fixing this person's problems. I felt responsible for getting someone out of their own misery. You are not responsible for that. And I'm not going to go that deep into it in this video. But I just wanted to let you know this because codependents tend to struggle with this. However, you can be a people pleaser and still feel responsible for fixing other people's problems. Like, no, you are not responsible for that. You are only responsible for your own life. And if you let go of this role, then you'll be able to stop neglecting yourself, abandoning yourself, and ultimately stop betraying yourself. Just like I mentioned in my video, self-love is not self-betrayal, that you are not responsible if someone feels disappointed, gets pissed off by you setting a boundary, by you prioritizing yourself, because these people benefited you from not even having any boundaries and not respecting yourself. This is the truth that you need to accept in order for you to stop betraying yourself. Whether you're a people pleaser or a codependent, if you struggle with being happily single, then you need to learn how to be whole and complete on your own. When I was a codependent, I could not be alone and I could not be happily single. I always needed to be in a connection or in a friendship in order to be happy because I couldn't be alone. My self-worth and my sense of self came from that. Starting your self-love journey and learning how to build a healthy, loving relationship with yourself, and everything that you are going to learn there is already going to help you to learn how to be happily single, to give yourself that love and validation, to learn how to be there for yourself and how to be comfortable in your own solitude, how to be there for yourself, how to be your own best friend, how to emotionally rely on yourself. And by learning that, it will help you to stop neglecting and abandoning yourself, which will ultimately help you to stop betraying yourself. Last but not least, something very important that I do want you to keep in mind throughout this whole journey of you learning how to build a healthy, loving relationship with yourself, as well as throughout this journey of you learning how to set boundaries, say no, and so much more, is for you to not have the black and white mindset. What do I mean by that? It's the mindset of all or nothing. I'm either completely progressing and I'm amazing, or I'm a failure. I have failed just because I made one mistake and I'm down to zero. Like there's no gray area. And this mindset is extremely damaging and sets you up for failure because it's an extremely impossible and unrealistic standard to hold oneself that you are never going to make mistake on your journey towards learning how to set boundaries, because you will make mistakes just like I did. And that's all part of the journey towards you learning how to set boundaries like a pro. This is the reason why I'm mentioning this, so that you can stop having this black and white mindset and so that you can practice self-awareness, because awareness is key. When you are aware of a behavior or a pattern, that's when you can change that. Whenever you notice you having this black and white mindset, all or nothing, and snap out of it, giving yourself the permission to say the fact that, hey, I am getting better and better in this aspect, but hey, maybe this is the aspect that I kind of need to work on a little bit more because I made this mistake. The most important thing for you to do is for you to practice self-forgiveness. Hey, I forgive you, it's okay. I'm a human being, I'm not perfect. And self-understanding, which is for you to understand, okay, why did this happen? What was the intention behind my action? Like, why did I say yes? Is it because I felt pressured? Is it because I kind of am on the edge around this certain person? Is it because this is a pushy person and I kind of wasn't firm enough? So this is you practicing self-understanding, trying to understand your behavior and where it came from and why you acted the way that you acted. And all of these lessons that you're going to be learning, which will help you to do better next time, is going to help you to learn how to set boundaries like a pro. And you repeat this process so that you can get better and better at setting boundaries. Because that's exactly what I did. Every single time I made a mistake, I asked myself, okay, what can I do better next time? Is it because of the person? Is it because it's just an unfamiliar situation and I didn't know what to say? Okay, then what do I say next time? Is it because I never dealt with this person before and it kind of caught me off guard? So you ask yourself questions, you try to understand yourself, which is the reason why I want to emphasize the importance of progress, not perfection. It is by you progressing on your journey, making mistakes, learning from them, growing from them, doing better next time, and repeating this process that will help you to set boundaries like a pro. This black and white mindset is something that you can heal and work on. And you will notice yourself after practicing self-understanding and asking yourself questions, whether you need to sit down with yourself and heal a specific belief or a certain pattern, or whether you need to learn how to respect yourself more in what area or what aspect that you may be struggling with. Maybe it's the fact that you weren't prepared for a situation and you need to prepare yourself for this situation or whenever you are with this person so that you can set a boundary or stand up for yourself and be assertive. So whatever situation you find yourself in, after practicing self-understanding, you will know what to improve. after asking yourself questions. And I invite you to then improve that aspect or this particular area where you've made a mistake because of that, so that you can do better next time. Let me give you a short example to demonstrate this to you. Let's say you're on a sugar-free diet. Just because you said yes to someone's request to eat a pastry, it does not mean that all of your progress, that you've been setting boundaries every single day, saying no, being assertive, is all of a sudden wiped out. This is the example of the black and white mentality. Just because you forgave yourself doesn't mean that you will repeat the mistake over and over again. If you learn from the mistake, grow from it, take the lesson, then you won't repeat the mistake. But you do need to be honest with yourself so that you can improve, take the lesson, and do better next time. You didn't fail. Your whole progress is not completely wiped out. As long as you're not continuously betraying yourself by continuously saying yes when you want to say no, and not molding yourself to be the person people want you to be. And if you don't have a toxic relationship with yourself, then it's all good. You are progressing and you are not betraying yourself. And for God's sake, if the next time you did make the same mistake, then be patient with yourself. You already stopped betraying yourself by being your most authentic version of yourself unapologetically. And along with that, having a healthy, loving relationship with yourself. Having your own beliefs and values and living in alignment with your values unapologetically. By deciding to marry you later instead of feeling pressured and trying to please the people around you to marry early, or by leaving the religion that your parents forced you to be part of. Those are some huge steps that you took in order to stop betraying yourself. And you don't want to ignore that. And you are setting boundaries every day and being assertive, which is amazing. You are progressing. Congratulate yourself, by the way, because you have built this foundation of trust with yourself, which is going to help you to keep your promises to yourself, to respect your boundaries, and to set them with other people. And like I said, the black and white mindset is extremely damaging because you'll be more focused on every single mistakes that you've made in the past and currently, and constantly feeling down about yourself after holding yourself to an impossible and unrealistic standard, rather than moving forward, practicing self-understanding, self-forgiveness, and learning from your mistakes and progressing on your journey. Make sure to check out the video that I'll be linking down in the description box down below, which is if you're doing this one thing, you are not loving yourself, which is self-betrayal. And there I mentioned at the end the importance of you practicing unconditional self-love and how you can do that whenever you make a mistake on this journey. It's important that you do practice unconditional self-love, which is part of you already practicing self-forgiveness and self-understanding. I'll go much more in depth in another video, but for now on, check that video out. As well as there I mentioned about what self-betrayal looks like, examples, and how I betrayed myself in the past for the longest time as a codependent, but also by having a toxic relationship with myself. So check that video out for more information, as well as about why self-hate is a form of self-betrayal and why people-pleasing and codependency is a form of self-betrayal, in case you want to learn more. But more on that in the video that I'll be linking in the description box down below. Everything that I mentioned in this video, everything that you're going to learn on your self-love journey, and every aspect that you're going to be diving into, and as well as other things that I've mentioned that you're going to be learning separately on your journey, will help you to stop hating yourself and end this toxic relationship with yourself. And along with that, it will help you to heal people-pleasing and codependency, which will ultimately help you to stop betraying yourself once and for all. So that's it, guys, with the video. I really enjoyed filming this video. And like I mentioned, don't forget to check this video out. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next episode of the Art of Practicing Self-Love series. Bye.